Hello and welcome back to this channel. So today's tutorial is going to be about illustrating this fall inspired landscape in Adobe Fresco. So let's just get started. So before we begin, I just want to let you know that I'll be providing the sketch that you'll be using for this illustration. So go ahead and pick it up from the link in the description box below. Alright, so let's just get started. To start off, I'm going to use this option called a small postcard. If you don't see it here, click on custom size, and here you'll see the small postcard that's 300 ppi, 6 into 4.25 inches. You can also create your own if you want. So I'm just going to click on that. Now first off, I'm going to try and bring in my sketch into this artboard. So you can just click on your image, and once you have downloaded it, it'll show up in your photos. Just click on photos, click on your sketch, and then click on done. So once you have this, I'm going to click on these buttons here and convert this into multiply, so that even if this sketch has a background, once it has multiply, it does not matter. You can see the layers below the sketch as well. So the colors that I'm using for these illustrations are mostly fall or autumn based. So you'll see a lot of bright oranges, yellows, and browns. And if you want to make this into a spring theme, go ahead and choose all greens and stuff like that. It's totally up to you. I just went and made sure I got my illustration right here, just because I wanted to see how it looks like on this. So first we're going to go ahead and sketch this thing out. So I'm just going to go ahead and also decrease the opacity because I think it is too dark right now. So I deleted all the extra layers just so that I can show you how I'm going to work with this. Now click on this plus sign and create a new layer, and we're going to bring it behind or below the sketch layer. So our sketch layer is always going to stay on the top. Alright, so let's start off. I'm going to be using vector brushes to start off the illustration, but because we'll be using some masking techniques later on, so the whole artwork is not going to be vector based, because when you try to apply mask, it automatically converts it into pixel based. So you can start off with any pixel brushes as well, or watercolor, oil paint brushes, anything that you like. But I'm just going to go ahead and go to my vector brushes and go to basic round, and let me just look at the size. Okay, this looks fine. So it's about 23.5 right now. You can increase or decrease the size depending on how you want it. So the main idea behind this is we're going to keep all the illustration, like all the elements, on separate layers, because then it'll be easy to apply mask, and we can show how the trees are behind each other or front of each other and something like that. And don't worry, this is a totally beginner friendly illustration. It's going to be super simple. We're going to be drawing basic shapes. So let's just get started. So I actually brought in all the colors from my previous illustration. If you want, you can use these colors, or I'll show you how I chose mine, just randomly picking it from the color wheel. Okay, so I'll start off the illustration by coloring in the house, because I think that looks much nicer. So I want something yellowish for that. So about this much, I guess, or I could choose from here as well, it doesn't matter. So I'm on a new layer and a vector brush. Make sure you go ahead and color it in like this and join this box. Next, use your dropper tool and drop it in like this. Now we have to color this part, so I'm just going to go to this color and just drag it down a little bit, so there's a little bit of shadow kind of thing happening. So let's just draw. You're on the fill tool, go back to your brush tool, draw like this, like that, and then drop it in like this. So now you can go ahead here and click on I button here to just take a look at how things are coming up. It looks fine, so I'm just going to stop it at that. And now it's time to make the roof. So I'm going to go ahead and click on a separate layer, because we're going to be adding some textures to the roof. So you can choose the color of the roof however you want, but I've chosen something which is a bit dark olive green, so you can see where it stays on the color wheel. So select your brush tool on a new layer, make sure you're on a new layer, and let's draw this. All right, now time to make some shrubs. So click on new layer, and let's go ahead and pick some yellow or orange. We can choose anything you want. Let's take a little bit of yellow here and go back to your brush tool. And now it's time for the other things. I'm just going to make this one in the same layer, make it orange. Okay, and now it's time for the red one. So I'm just going to click on new layer and bring it behind these shrubs, because the red one is, these shrubs are behind the first layer. So the first one is orange, so I'm just going to go ahead and draw some orange here. And let's choose a red. And let's make this one as well. Okay, shrubs are ready. Time for some trees. So I'm just going to click on a new layer, and I'm going to make some trees as red. And you can make these tree shapes however you want. It's not really necessary that you have to stick to a particular shape. And I'll create one more layer, and I want to make this one red as well. So cancel, brush, and then let's go and color it. Okay, so let's choose a different layer, and now we're going to color some yellow. So go ahead and pick up this yellow that you have, and let's make this yellow. Okay, so I'm going to continue this process and fill in all the objects here with the same technique. And okay, let's just go ahead and do that. Don't worry, I'll share all these colors with you so that you can go ahead and use it in your artwork. I'm going to put this layer on top because I want this above these bushes. And I have to do one more layer with trees. This should be behind all the trees. Go ahead and choose some orange. And choose this. Brush. And this should definitely be behind the house. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it behind the house. Go back to this layer, and I forgot to add in the chimney. That should be good. Okay, let's make the clouds now. But the clouds will be like behind everything. So I'm just going to click on a new layer and just go ahead and pick white and use your brush and draw this. If you cannot see this at this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add a separate layer. And in here, I'm going to take the fill tool and choose a really light yellow like this, and click, and I'm going to choose vector fill. And so we have the sky ready now. And now if you go to the layer with clouds, you can choose white and draw this. Now for the tree trunks, we'll just go above the cloud layer, and then I'm going to choose some brown. I want really dark brown, so let me go here and choose something like this. I see that the house color is gone. Oh, that's because it's behind the color. Okay, now it looks fine. I'm just going to quickly go ahead, click here and uncheck this to see what's happening. Okay, this looks good. The only thing we're left is the pebbles over here. So let's just do that. I want something lighter. Maybe? I don't know. It should be lighter than this. So I'll pick that color and go a bit further. No, you should go up here, actually above this layer, the brown layer, and click on plus. And let's make this. Let's check this, like how it looks. It is very, very dark. So I'm just going to uncheck that. I think I have the color saved here somewhere, probably this one. And now I'll go ahead and choose the brown that we had, the dark brown. And then go to your brush tool and decrease this size a little bit. I'm going to make some markings like this. Okay, and click on plus. Let's make the bushes. I think I will choose this yellow. The only thing left is the door and the windows. Click on plus. And let's go ahead and choose probably the same color as this. Looks like this layer should not be here. So we'll move it later, don't worry. Okay, so now we're going to move that up. So this is our layer. So let's bring it down here and see if it works. Nope. Yeah. All right. So that looks fine. So I'm just going to go ahead and uncheck my sketch layer. Okay, this is your very plain vector illustration. If you want, you can stop here because it still looks fine, doesn't it? So, but we're going to add some a bit of a flair to this. So let's start off by doing that. So first of all, I'm going to go concentrate on the red trees, the 2 full red trees. So I'll click on that and I will click and hold to select the color. Once you have chosen the color, click on plus sign because we don't want to use that layer. Now click on the color and bring it down a little bit so that it's a little darker. And we're going to make some dots. Don't make a lot of them, just a few. And also make some on this tree as well. So you'll have to go here and click on plus. Okay, so I guess that's it. Now we'll start off with the pixel brushes for our illustration. Let's start off with the trees first. So the red ones look really nice. So let me go ahead and click on the red layer, the 2 trees, and I'm going to click on mask layer contents. And it says you want to convert this vector layer, say yes, convert. Once you have this, you have to swipe so that now whatever you draw shows up only on these 2 particular trees. So let me go ahead and choose some color. So we have the red. I'm just going to go ahead so it becomes much lighter in color. And let me go to the pixel brushes. So I have already favorited it. And this one I'm going to be using Kylie's Paintbox Gouache Round Bristle 3. You can find them under gouache brushes. And in here you'll see all the brushes. So these brushes don't come with default with Fresco. But these are free for anyone who has an Adobe Fresco or Adobe Photoshop subscription. So you can go ahead and download these. If you want to know how to download these, I have a video tutorial on that as well. So you can just go ahead and click on the link in the description and it will show you how to download these brushes. But if you don't have it or if you cannot download it, it's really not necessary. What you can do is instead you can take rakes, which comes with the Fresco tool, and you can use one of these brushes as well, and it would just make a little bit of a difference, but still you can get some similar kind of effects. Okay, so let me go ahead and go back to gouache brushes. And in here, I'm going to choose the one which says Paintbox Gouache Round Bristle 3. This is what I want. And let me just look at the size. This is too tiny. So what I'm going to do is increase the size a little bit. That looks good to me. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw some lines like this. So you don't have to be too thick. You can draw very light lines. Don't put a lot of pressure on your brush. So I'm just going to do that here as well. Something like this. And now I'll go to this red layer of bushes, which you can see. Click and mask layer content. Swipe. And now I'm going to make something like that here as well, just for the red ones. Now you go to this red one over here. And again, mask layer content, swipe, and a little bit of over there as well. So next, I'm just going to go to this color and go all the way down and go here down so that it's much darker. So now I'll choose a brush called Kylie's Paintbox Gouache Bonus Gritty Dry. It's again under the gouache brush settings. So with this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this red tree layer, do that like this. Something like that, and in here as well, but not so dark as I did for that one. So that's it for that. And we're gonna go to this one here and probably do a very light one here. That's it, and I'm not gonna mess with it too much. Okay, now let's go to the yellow trees right here, these 2, and click on mask layer content, convert, and let's use the same brush. And in here, make sure it's in reveal and swipe. And now go to your yellow color and just click on that. And you can now actually change this to a little bit orange. And I'm just going to draw some lines like this. You can actually make your brush thicker as well. Just go ahead and do that. And just scribble a little bit. And next we'll go to the bushes here. Mask layer contents. Swipe, and in here you can do whatever you want, like just scribble some texture on it. That should be good. And we'll go to this ones on the rock and give some texture there as well. So if you don't have that brush, you can also go into dry media, and there are a lot of brushes here which you can use as well. Hard paster, I think should be fine. See, it works fine. You just have to put it very lightly and decrease the size of the brush and it will work as well. So you don't really need so many different kinds of brushes. You can just work with whatever you got and it should work fine as well. Okay, so the next one is I'm just going to take up some yellow here and go ahead and make it a little darker. And I'll go back to my favorites and click on the gritty dry gouache, and I'll go to these orange bushes. So over here, and this one is the one. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark something like that. And let's go to this one here, and this is too yellow. So I'm just going to go ahead and make it more orangey. Okay, that looks fine as well. You can also make it darker, so I'm choosing the orange color. Make it a bit darker, and then you can actually do it like this. You can actually make a bit of a texture here so that it shows it's behind something or something like that. All right, so that's done. Now let's go to the orange tree here. I'm just keeping the color that I already have right now. I'll go to the orange tree and click on mask layer contents, swipe, and in here I'll just draw some things like this. Okay, next up is this area right here. I want something which is a bit orange in color, so I'm just going to go choose this color. That's my starting point, and make it a bit more orange, and I'll just go into the layer which has that like this, and then you can actually make it mask if you want. Okay, so now for the brown layer, we're going to go ahead and choose our vector brush, and let's choose a dark layer here, and I'm not going to mask it. If I mask it, I won't be able to draw on the surface, so I'm just going to, oops, let me choose the darker one. Okay, it's time to go for the roof. Mask it, and you can choose this color, and we're going to lighten it up a little bit, and go back to our dry bristles, swipe, and now we can actually give in some texture like this. And now it's time for the clouds. So I'm just going to go ahead. You have a cloud layer here, make a new layer and bring it behind the cloud layer. And now let's go ahead and choose white. But we're going to go ahead and make it a bit gray, and we'll use the same brush, and you're going to add a bit of shadow here. Okay, so now it's time to fill up this background, and there are different ways in which you can actually create things for the background. So usually you have to create the layer just above the background layer, but if I do that, you guys won't be able to see anything. So I'm just going to create a new layer on top of everything. Don't worry, we can move it to the background later. So for brush, first off, we'll start off with the pastel or the gouache brush that I've chosen. Like if you don't have gouache, use the pastel brush, and all you have to do is just make some lines. Oops, let's go ahead and select really dark brown and make some lines and some branches like this, some above the house as well. Something like this. And then I'm just going to pull it back and keep it somewhere around here so that you can see how it looks like. So this is one of the ways that you can do it. There's one more way in which you can use vector brushes. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on plus, go to your vector brush, and now we're going to let's make it thicker, 23, and then you can make branches like this. Okay, and then you can bring it all the way down the same place, and then it will look like this. So basically, like I told you, you have different ways in which you can actually create the background. To choose the style that you want. But yeah, that brings us to the end of this tutorial. I know it's a very simple illustration, but I wanted to show you guys like how to use this masking to create this unique illustration with texture and stuff like that. So I hope you really enjoyed it, and you'll try to create the same thing or something even better. You can always Google fall or autumn landscape and try to draw what shows up so that you'll have an idea of how to work with composition and something. This one was entirely my idea, so it's not really the best illustration out there, but I just want to show you there are things that you can create, even simple things that you can create, which will look colorful and pretty nice as well. If you like this tutorial, don't forget to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and also hit on that notification bell so that you get notified every time I post a new video. Let me know if you like to see more of Fresco videos. I love creating things in Fresco, and it's super fun to create something with that. So I guess I'll see you in the next video then. Bye bye.